Hello everyone. In today's session, we are going to see how to set up a new tenant in the Onfinity ERP. Our agenda is to understand the tenant setup. The objective is to enable you to understand the Onfinity tenant setup and its associated terms within the context of business processes. To create a new tenant in Onfinity ERP, you must have login credentials for the system tenant and gather all necessary details for the new tenant setup. Let's understand what a tenant is. A tenant, also referred to as a client, is a collection of entities, business units, or administrative units grouped together for a common purpose. It represents the highest level in the system hierarchy. All organizational data is managed under a tenant. For example, Sonic as a tenant can oversee multiple companies. There is an important note regarding tenant creation. Avoid creating a tenant manually via the window interface. This function is highly sensitive, and new tenant creation should always follow a defined process. By default, two tenants are always available in the database. One is Idea Inc. Admin, also known as the testing tenant, and the other is the system tenant. The system tenant contains the entire application dictionary, or AD. Using AD components, you can set up your menus, screens, validations, and more. And let's now move on to the system and try to create a new tenant. At the login screen, enter your credentials. Once you're logged in, click on the menu. You can use the search utility to find initial tenant setup, or navigate through company and global settings under company structure, where you'll find the initial tenant setup option. Click on this icon to initiate the tenant setup process. Enter the tenant name. In our case, this is Sonic. Provide one of the organizations. Here, it is Sonic Venture. Enter the admin user who will have full access to all system components. In our case, that is Sonic Admin. You'll also need to provide another user with limited privileges. We'll use Sonic User. Choose your currency from the drop-down. Here, it is Indian rupees. Select your country, India, and city, New Delhi. In the optional section, you'll find accounting dimensions. Product and business partner are mandatory and cannot be unchecked. If you select the optional ones, the system will include them in the accounting book and enable them with the tenant setup. If left unchecked, they can be enabled later at the accounting book level. For now, we won't select any optional dimensions. Click the Done button to generate the tenant. The system runs a background process that creates various entries along with the tenant, such as legal entity, warehouse, accounting book, calendar with financial year, roles, document types, document sequences, and business partners. Once the process completes, an output file is generated. Save this file for future use. After that, close the form, log out, and log in again. Use the admin user created by the tenant setup. In our case, this is Sonic Admin. At the first login, the system will prompt you to change your password. Do so and proceed. After logging in, you'll land on the Onfinity ERP landing page. Various mosaics are displayed, but since this is a new tenant with no transactions, you won't see any data yet. Once transactions are entered, data will appear in these mosaics. Let's open the tenant window for further configuration. Go to Company Structure and click on the Tenant screen. You'll see two tenants, Sonic Tenant and the System Tenant. Select the Sonic Tenant. Since the record isn't editable due to filters, change the filter to Star Organization, and the system will refresh the screen. Now the tenant is editable. You can now configure additional settings. For email server setup, provide the mail host, SMTP port, request email, user, and password. Validate these details to enable email functionality from the system. In the Other Settings section, configure the system as needed. If you have Google Map API integration, Provide the path. To change the system theme, select one from the drop-down. Round off line tax amount ensures tax amounts are rounded at the line level. By default, it's enabled, and you can disable it if needed. The Allow Non-Item on Ship or Receipt checkbox lets you create deliveries and GRNs for non-item type products. Enable multi-currency if your business handles transactions in multiple currencies. If enabled, additional fields will appear. Select the currency source, such as xe.com or Google. Choose whether currency rate updates are automatic or manual. For automatic updates, the system pulls rates from the source. For manual updates, users must upload the rates. Set the update frequency to daily, weekly, or monthly. Cost Immediate enables automatic cost calculation upon transaction processing. Cost Mandatory on completion prevents transaction completion if costs haven't been calculated. For profit and loss closing, choose how to perform year-end closing, either by individual organization or legal organization. We'll choose a legal organization. Check Consider Original DO Cost on Return if customer returns should use the original delivery cost. If unchecked, returns will use the current product cost. Invoice Recost on GRN ensures that cost recalculations at period end consider the GRN date rather than the invoice date. Enable this if required. Now, move to the Tenant Info tab. You'll see various trees linked to the tenant, which were generated during the setup. No manual changes are needed here. That completes the tenant configuration post-generation. Let's briefly explore the records created by the tenant process. An organization is generated. In our case, this is Sonic Ventures. More about this can be seen in the organization setup video. A calendar is created in the period control screen. You'll find a financial year and periods from January to December. Details are covered in the financial year setup video. The system also creates 41 document types. More information on this is available in the document type setup video. Transaction sequences are also generated. You can zoom from a document type or open the transaction sequence window directly. An accounting book is generated with minimum settings to run the system. Details are available in the accounting book setup video. Various roles are created. For more information, refer to the role setup video. Finally, you'll find business partners and their users in the user management window. That's all for this session. Thank you for attending.